All right, today we're going to take an in-depth look at what the dumper's experience looks like during a no-contact rule. Now, I've filmed similar videos to this in the past, but none that actually focused on what their experience looked like during the no-contact rule itself. All right, let's jump in. If you simply play the numbers, then the question of what's going on in a dumper's head during a no-contact rule should actually be reframed as what is the experience of an avoidant during no contact. Now, I've polled our community 2 separate times over the course of 2 separate years to ask them the following question. What attachment style do you believe your ex is? Now, the first poll that I'm showing you right now was conducted in 2020. You can see what type of attachment style would you guys say your ex is. Now, close to 70% of the vote came in as saying that their ex, or that they believe their ex, was an avoidant. I followed this research up by conducting a second poll with pretty much the exact same question 1 year later, and once again, about 70% of the vote came in saying that they believe that their ex was avoidant. So same question, same result. Now, I've done a ton of research on avoidance and silence and what works and what doesn't work, but perhaps none are more relevant to this particular discussion than this particular video that I did with one of our coaches, Coach Tyler, where we were basically going through the stages that a dismissive avoidant will go through during no contact. So in it, Coach Tyler and I argue your ex is going to go through 5 main stages during no contact. The avoid stage, the feelings beginning to bubble stage, the resuppression stage, the moving on stage, and then finally the nostalgia stage. But the more I thought about these 5 stages, the more I found that there might have been a flaw with our logic. So in most cases, these 5 stages occur in a lengthier timeline than an actual no contact rule would allow. In fact, I think the stages that we put forth in that video are actually a better indication of what the dumper is actually experiencing throughout the entirety of a breakup, as opposed to just the short timeline of a no contact rule. And one look at my relationship death wheel can bear that out. So remember, with the death wheel, there are 8 main stages. You know, you want someone to love you, you think you've found someone, your troubles are over, you start noticing some worrying things, you start thinking that you're going to leave the relationship, then you actually decide to leave the relationship. Then you're super happy that you left. Then you start to feel kind of lonely, and then you start to wonder why you can't ever find the right person, which leads you back to the beginning, and around we go. And pretty much every single stage that Tyler and I talked about in our video can be found somewhere in this particular death wheel. So the avoid stage, for example, can happen on the actual outset of the breakup, which is going to be stage 5 of the death wheel. The feelings bubbling to the surface that Tyler and I talk about, well, that's going to happen right around stage 7 of the wheel. The resuppression stage, well, that's going to happen right around stage 6. And yes, it's possible for an ex to basically go backwards in the wheel sometimes. Moving on will be stage 8, obviously. And then finally, the nostalgia stage is basically stage 1 of the death wheel. Basically, you have done one full revolution and you are right back to that very beginning where you want someone to love you. The flaw with the hypothesis that Tyler and I did in our video is the fact that in reality, at best, that usually the no contact rule is only going to really cover stages 5 through 7 of the death wheel. The I've decided to leave the relationship, the I'm so happy that I left, and the hey, I'm starting to kind of feel bad here. Thus, I would like to put forth a new hypothesis, new stages that you should expect a dumper to go through during the no contact rule. So here are the 4 stages that I believe a dumper is most likely going to go through during a no contact rule. So stage 1 is going to be called the initial relief stage. And I was tempted to put this in the separation elation category, but I actually think this is something a little bit different. So I remember going through my very first breakup ever. I was overcome, but not with sadness or grief. That happened a little bit later. But initially, I was overcome with relief. Our entire relationship was very toxic. There was a lot of arguments from both sides. And it just felt like after the relationship was over, immediately I just felt like weight had been lifted off my shoulders. That's nothing against her. It just had more to do with, oh my God, I don't have to worry about hurting this person's feelings anymore. Or, oh my God, I don't have to worry about getting into arguments anymore. Oh, this feels great. Stage 2 is the separation elation stage. You've heard me talk about this a lot if you're familiar with this YouTube channel. Basically though, I'm going to pull from one of my favorite avoidant resources to basically bear out the separation elation. After a relationship ends, people with an avoidant attachment style tend not to show much anxiety or distress, often feeling an initial sense of relief, there's that word, at the relinquishing of obligations and the sense that they are regaining their self-identity and not tending to initially miss their partner. This is separation elation, as the pressure to connect is gone. So basically, it's like a mini honeymoon period that they have with themselves because they felt like they were losing themselves in the relationship. But now that they have broken up with you, guess what? They're starting to find themselves again. They're loving that feeling. And of course, this leads them to the next stage,